Okay, don't want you to get confused with Navisworks and Revit, for example. All right, Navisworks tends to be thrown into the BIM software sort of basket. It is in a way, but it is a little bit more than that. It can view 2D as well. Okay, so but generally it's for 3D, and it does work quite well with Revit. But what you've got to understand that with Navisworks is more of a viewer. Okay, it's a viewer markup. Perhaps a bit of scheduling sort of software, but you do not create anything. You create nothing in Navisworks. The only thing you might create is maybe an animation, sort of zooming around flying around the building, that sort of thing. But you don't really create a model. You don't change anything. You only just have a look at something. If there's a clash or something like that, you mark it up and you send a picture of that area where there's a clash, and whoever is responsible would change it on the Revit file or Tekla or whatever software they may be using. So it's not, it's definitely not. And it's also used a lot for meetings, so sort of consultant meetings, a good way of discussing, they put all their models together. So basically what it is you put all the models together in one file. So, for example, they might come from AutoCAD. They might come from ArchiCAD. They might come from Revit, Tekla, whatever software. They're all put together in one, and this thing has got the ability to view the whole model as one and sort of break it down element by element and check it for detection clashes as well. All right, so in a little more detail, Navisworks it's got this one here, which is Freedom, and it's also got the one called Manage. And the main difference between the two is that with Manage, it's a bigger software. Obviously, it's you have to buy it, whereas Freedom is free. Freedom only really is only able to open up a couple of file formats, and basically it's the NWD format, DWFX, a couple of other ones there. This one's here, sort of Autodesk recap format files now, which basically could be cloud, point cloud sort of files that have been put together or stitched up together, and we'll find that out a bit later on. And other usually or other on desktop or on online using the cloud. All right, so a lot of terminologies that you're going to come across. The difference with that, as opposed to this one here, which is the Manage, is that you also, apart from NWD, you also have NWF and NWC file formats. There's 3 different formats. I'll try and put them into a simple perspective for you. The NWC format is created automatically when you open up basically a file that's come from, say, CAD, or a file that it doesn't normally, a file that doesn't normally, that's the wrong terminology, doesn't normally open up. But some files, especially CAD files, it has to create this C file, NWC. That stands for cache, the C, all right? So it creates a format where it can easily read in and understands. It converts it from, even though it can open drawing files, it has to be able to read them very quickly, and it converts it in the language that it understands. And so what happens if your AutoCAD file then gets updated down the track, and you put the new file in there, it will detect that the new file has been put in there, and therefore the NWC file will get regenerated. A new one is created, okay? So it doesn't actually use the drawing file when it's actually viewing it, it's actually using the NWC file. All right, the other one is NWF. Think of this as a file that all it does really is got nothing in it. and it just externally references, and you've done X references in CAD, or links, and we haven't done links in Revit yet, but it links it in into this, as you see here, in this blank space here. It'll bring in files from all over the place, and then when you save it, it saves it as NWF. Right, if you send the NWF file to someone, and nothing else, they'll get just what you see on the screen there, nothing, a blank thing, you know, because you haven't sent the rest of the files that needed to be referenced in. Okay. Now, if you send the NWF file to someone who hasn't got Navisworks, but they've got Navisworks Freedom, they still won't be able to do anything with it because Navisworks Freedom does not open up NWF or NWC. It only opens up NWD. All right, so how do you communicate with those people? So what you do, you basically, if I use the AutoCAD term, bind the NWF files that are externally referenced into an NWD. Right, so sort of a Navisworks document, I think it is, or something like that. To do that, you use a process called publish, and you publish it out. We've got nothing here to publish, but it's there. And you can just publish it out so it's a bit like the e-transmit in AutoCAD, I suppose. So they get everything that they need. Well, it's more like the bind command in AutoCAD. You bind it all, so you bring all the external references as one document. And then they can use it and they can mark it, they can't mark up, that's the other thing. You can't mark up in Freedom. You can just have a look at that. You can't do anything really. What you can do is view any timeline information or videos that they might have created, animations on there, but you can't create them either. So it's free. All right, so okay, so let's now speaking of free, and let's go back to our little program here. We've got that. Notice over here we've got another one here called BIM site, and I mentioned that before. All right, that's free as well, but you can do a lot more with that. You can actually do clash detections as well with this. All right, so it's something that we're going to look at in a minute. This is put out by the people that make Tekla structures software. They just put it out for free, and it works quite well. If you can't afford to spend whatever it is, 8-10 grand on that, you can just get that one, and it might be enough for you. All right, so okay, having said that, we might just move into looking at some of these files here. And what I'll do is I'll set this going, and I'll stop the recording. Then I'll pause it for a while, and then we can continue on. All right, so I'll stop. I'll just press this here. We're going to look at a little overview of Navisworks now. Okay. Okay, so this here is basically an overview of what it is. It's just basically what I've been talking about to you. If you have a look at this file here, is a little comparison file. All right, here you go. So this compares Navisworks Manage. There's another one in the family I didn't mention, Simulate. All right, and Freedom. The basic difference between these two, Simulate and Manage, is that it doesn't do any clash detection. So, I don't know, maybe it's a bit cheaper. But the free one, that's all you can do, and the other one, the Manage, does everything. If I go back to this thing here, this is a piece of, this information is being put together by Tekla, this third one here we're looking at. So they're the people that make BIM sites. So be aware that it's made by the competitor as well when you're looking at the comparison tables, all right? So let's look at that. All right, so this is comparing a few things. All right, this is comparing the Freedom, Navisworks, the Manage, and look at that. Now we're getting some more things in here. We're getting some more names for you. Project-wise, if I didn't tell you these things, you wouldn't know they existed, all right? Because most people don't tell you. Well, it's just focused on one, which is basically Autodesk software. So this is the sort of stuff that you might come across out there. So the Project-wise Navigator by Bentley. Solibri Checker, this is more of a quantities sort of program, and there's another one in here in that range called Rib I2, we're going to talk about that as well and show you a little video about that. Tekla, finally, is the other one that's free. So if you look down the bottom here, this also gives you some idea of pricing. I'm not sure how current it is of each software. This first and last one are free, but between the first one and the last one, the last one can do a lot more stuff for free than the other one can, which is Navisworks Freedom. All right, so you're going to use this perhaps to write your little paragraph about what the differences are between all the different software. Maybe it's one little software that you can, one link that you might be able to use, apart from just searching on the net. All right, so what else have we got? From the architectural menu, we're going to run this thing here. So let's have a look at that. Let's see what that does. All right. Okay. Right, so 4D simulation. This here, okay, we haven't talked about all the what these things can do. So basically, we're talking about 4D simulations. We're talking about 5D. I'll explain that a bit later, but basically it's adding time and cost to it. It's 4D. 5D is quantities. Yes, quantities. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so then it's time is 4D, and then quantities and cost go 5D. All right, so that a lot of information will come out of here as well. All right, so let's have a look at that. Where's this video gone? Is this? Let's just stop that there for a minute. We're having difficulty finding those YouTube or those videos, and we'll get back to it later. But here's one that we can watch here that will give you a pretty good idea of how this software sort of integrates with your BIM models. Well, any viewing software really. So let's have a look at this.